So one of the most powerful things that you can do to lower chronic inflammation starts with understanding what sugar is doing in your body. I'm Dr. Julia Saylors, integrative oncologist, and today in Mini Med School, we're talking about sugar and inflammation. So when you start to eat food, particularly food high in sugar, your pancreas produces insulin. And think of insulin as like the key that allows the glucose to enter the cell. So you have your cell, and then on the surface of that cell is what we call the insulin receptor. And this is where the insulin binds to do its job, allowing the glucose to enter the cell, where it's then used for energy. And then the problem comes in when you are constantly bombarding your cells with more sugar than they need. So in response, your cells reduce the number of insulin receptors on their surface. But then your body produces more and more insulin to try and bring the blood sugar down. And over time, this is how insulin resistance develops. And chronically elevated insulin drives inflammation directly. It also promotes fat storage, particularly around the midsection. And I think something that a lot of people find surprising, the visceral fat, that dangerous fat stored around your organs, does not primarily come from eating fat. It comes from the excess sugar that your liver converts into fat. And one thing worth highlighting is that high fructose corn syrup is found in enormous amounts in sodas, your packaged snacks, processed foods, and it's metabolized differently than glucose. It goes directly to the liver where it promotes fat production and inflammation and pretty much provides no nutritional value whatsoever. So a simple rule of thumb is minimize foods where the high fructose corn syrup appears as one of the first ingredients on the label, especially on a package that has a very long ingredient list. The higher up the ingredient appears on the list, the more of it is in the product. And on the other hand, natural sugars that come from whole fruits, they're packed with fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and the fiber slows down how quickly sugar enters your bloodstream, which means a much smaller glucose spike and a completely different effect on your body. So I'm going to start wearing a continuous glucose monitor, and I'm going to be sharing periodically in my stories what different foods and eating habits do to my blood sugar in real time. So follow along, and it may be something you'll want to track for yourself. But when I counsel patients, one of the first places I suggest starting is sugar-sweetened beverages. Swapping out sodas, juice, sweetened coffee drinks is probably one of the most impactful and achievable changes that you can make. And then from there, I take a diet history so we can decide on a few small swaps that feel manageable rather than necessarily trying to overhaul everything at once. But my next video is going to directly address the question about whether sugar feeds cancer.